Hello, guys. Welcome to another episode of Life in Sports Spotlight with Cameron Knox. Last week's episode was pretty good. I loved every minute of it, filming and just talking football, essentially. Um, we're gonna get right into it to college football. There was a lot of shaking up in the top 10 because of Texas beating Michigan. Or Texas blowing out Michigan, really, because Michigan just lost a lot. Like it's going to be hard for them to really recover, especially now with the new Big Ten, with USC and Oregon and Washington and yeah, whoever else joined. Um, it's just going to be hard for them to do what they did last year. Well, they can't go 15-0 again, but them getting Texas week 2 was hard because Texas is just a better team than them now. Um, so now they're out of the top 10. Notre Dame, terrible loss to Northern Illinois. I don't even know how you could pay a team to beat you, pay a team or $1.4 million to beat you at home. It's crazy. But now Northern Illinois, they get a top 5 win, and now they're in the top 25. I don't know much about them. I'm not gonna speak on them that much, but I mean, great win for their program. That's essentially probably the best program win for them ever. Uh, but to speak more on Notre Dame, I just don't think Marcus Freeman is the guy for them. Notre Dame is a program we all think high of, being a top 5 team. I just don't think Marcus Freeman is the guy for them in a lot of ways. Essentially, like Brian Kelly kind of wasn't the guy for them. Now he's at LSU, but I just got to see more from Notre Dame. I think they do a good job of recruiting, but I don't know. It's a lot going bad for them. Another team that dropped a little, but they're 2-0 is Oregon. Oregon, they just don't look like Oregon. Yeah, I think obviously they looked a lot better this past game against Boise State, and they win by 3 points. Boise State has a really good Heisman elite front runner right now, running back, and I think it's going to be a problem stopping him. And it showed because he ran all over Oregon's defense. And I think that what is the problem for Oregon is the defense. I think the offense looks relatively decent. Dylan Gabriel is, giving the ball to the Evan Stewart and the Tez Johnsons, but it doesn't look like an Oregon team. They have a big game against Oregon State this weekend. I think they got to beat them good to feel like this is Oregon again. This is their first road game this weekend, so they're going to be at Oregon State in Corvallis. They got to get something going, or Ohio State might get after them on October 12th. But other than that, I got to give it to Oregon because they do have that home game. That game is home for them. I think I'm pretty sure. So if they're struggling, they have the home crowd for them, and they don't have to, you know, hear the loudness in Columbus, Ohio. But some top matchups this week. Today's Thursday, so tomorrow for college football, I know K State plays Arizona. Two good ranked teams, I believe. Arizona's 20 and K State 17. So are some really good matchups on a Friday night. We get to watch, Avery Johnson. There's something about him. If he's not really gelling yet into the college football game, or it's just because they really struggled against Tulane. That's a game they most definitely should have lost, but the defense gets a turnover and a score, so that kind of got them back in the game. Um, yeah, but Arizona, I'm not gonna lie, they struggled too against Northern Arizona, so that's gonna be a good game. Two teams that haven't played each other. Um, Arizona being new to the Big 12. We know what they have in Titstor McMillan and Noah Fida, that dynamic offense. They have a dynamic offense for sure. So it's going to be a fun one in Manhattan and Kansas. So that's going to be a good one. I personally believe Arizona could beat them. Um, but we'll see. It's anyone's game because of they're both ranked relatively close, and then they're both, you know, can sneak into the Big 12 championship game depending on what else happens. And then another big game Friday night is UNLV in Kansas. UNLV is very, very good. They're a Mountain West team that's hungry. You know, and I mean, in Kansas, they lose to a Big Ten school last weekend in Illinois. They come back home, so they have that for them. Um, I'm not sure much of what Kansas can do to not win this game. I don't. I think UNLV is a really good team, uh, and I think they might go beat Kansas. I think I got Kansas uh, losing this game to UNLV, me personally. Um, but that's for them to, prove me wrong. But who am I, anyways? I think UNLV could beat Kansas easily, no matter where the game is in Vegas or it's in Kansas. Or Missouri, wherever. I think they go get them regardless. And then another big matchup, Missouri and Boston College. Missouri is a top 10 team as well. I think they're about eight, if I could guess. And in Boston College, we seen what they did. They beat Fresno, Florida State, excuse me, Florida State ACC team. Um, Florida State, we were their struggle, but Boston College going to go beat them is big for that program. Um, Missouri is a really good team. They have, I think their tight end's going to play. He messed up his shoulder in the first game. And then they have Luther Burden, another Belendikoff guy, along with Sensor McMillan from Arizona. And then Brady Cook, who can do quite anything, who could run the ball, throw the ball. He's done a lot this past couple games to show, he's a good quarterback for that Missouri SEC team. And then another Big 12 team, Utah. We won't talk about their matchup because, they should relatively beat Utah State by a large amount. But Cam Rising, their quarterback, goes down in the second quarter, right before kind of halftime, where Cam Rising, takes a shot going out of bounds. And I seen a lot of stuff on Twitter where they say he can't protect himself and stuff like that. I think for him to be a guy who's been in college for so long, I think he needs to be smarter because this is a Utah team that can easily get into the college football playoffs um, by winning the Big 12. and they have a big game next week after Utah State. They gotta play Oklahoma State, and we've seen Oklahoma State go beat Arkansas last week. And that's an SEC team, and that was a really good win for them. They were down, they end up pulling it out and winning. Uh, but I think Utah really needs to bounce back. I think Isaac Wilson typically really needs to bounce back. He has not looked good. I know he's a freshman, um, but he's going to start this week, and he has to beat Utah State big from the committee and Utah fans and college football fans to feel comfortable of Utah actually being able to win the Big 12. And then also Colorado. Oh my gosh, they play Colorado State, a good matchup this weekend, good rivalry. That was a good game last year. Um, it went to overtime. Colorado pulled it out, but now they got to go to Colorado State. Dion has been chirping at Jay Norvell, Colorado State's head coach. They've been chirping back and forth, not really back and forth. You only really hear Dion. Dion, he makes up stuff in his head. I like Dion, but that Colorado team is not good. I seen stuff on Twitter this week saying like should I think the worst thing Shador did was going to Colorado with his dad. Obviously, we knew he was going to do that because it is his dad. But I think a Shador on like this Florida State team, I think they don't lose those two games with a Shador because it's a big ACC offensive line that's going to protect him. This Big 12 Colorado offensive line is not protecting Shador. We've seen the issues last year, and now they're just even, I won't say worse, but they're not improved, even though we thought they were. They talked about how much they improved the O line and improved everything around him, but they still have no run game. They still rely on the pass, and then Shador's in the pocket for so long that he's just getting murdered. Um, I personally, I just think they have no team identity. They can't stop the run. They can't run. They can't do anything. Um, and Nebraska just carved them alive. Um, Shador throwing uh, far down the line, pick six on your own 5 yard line. That's just terrible coaching. I mean, I know he made the decision to throw the ball, but you should never put your quarterback in that position. He can't throw the ball on the 5 yard line because and that's when it comes in saying they have no run game. They can't even call a run play because they know it's something that they can't do. And it's just awful. Dion's probably gone after this year. Travis will be gone. Shiloh got hurt. He broke his arm, but he's going to be gone. And whoever else, Shador is going to be gone. Like this team is just going to be awful. And there's nothing much to say how they can improve because they're just not a good football team. And because of so much criticism Shador puts on his own offensive line, like this is only game what, two for them? Yeah. And he's calling out his own line saying, oh, how many times did Dylan Raiola get touched? Like, bro, come on, you gotta grow up, man. Yeah, it's game two, and they got 12, 11 more games to block for you, and you're talking crap. However many more games. Yeah. That's I think that's good college football. The top three is undoubtedly the best teams I think that could contend for college winning a national championship, and that's Georgia, Texas, and Ohio State. Georgia plays Kentucky. That's going to be a big prime time Saturday night game on ABC. Um, I think Texas plays Texas UTSA. Uh, be a blowout game. I'm not sure who Ohio State plays, but those they shouldn't lose whoever they play. But I think next week Big Ten play starts. I'm really impressed with USC. They go shut out Utah State at the Coliseum. Um, they're a really good team. I think Miller Moss looks really composed, but he's been waiting his whole life for this moment to play at be a quarterback at USC. Um, he looks really good, and they go play Michigan next week at the Big House. So that's going to be a matchup we'll talk about next episode. But um, USC looks really good, and I can't complain about them right now. So yeah. So now let's get into NFL. My pick'ems, I go 14-2. Uh, I picked the Packers beating the Eagles. Eagles played really, really good. Saquon Barkley looked really, really good in his Eagle debut. Had 3 touchdowns, 2 rushing, 1 passing. Jalen Hurts looked how you would think he would look without, not playing in the preseason, having a new OC. Started off bad, throwing a pick, fumbling, I think. So he looked like a quarterback that hadn't played in about a little less than a year since that loss to Tampa Bay in the playoffs. It looked like he hadn't played in a while. New center, new play caller, new running back. But they ultimately put it together and won that game. And then the Bengals. I was talking so much crap on the Patriots. I said Jamar Chase didn't need to play, no matter who played, that they were going to win, and they did not. Joe Burrow still looks hurt. It was some video stuff I've seen on Twitter where he couldn't pick up the water bottle. He just looks hurt still. I think him and Zach Taylor, they've been together, I believe, like however long he's been in the league, but they're just not putting it together. Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase, they didn't look like it. Jamar hasn't practiced in a while, so I could assume why they didn't look as good. T. Higgins, it didn't play his hamstring. They really missed him, I think. But other than that, Patriots beat them 16-10. I don't think they still looked good, but I mean, they beat a really good AFC team who we think could be a playoff team. So essentially, I went 14-2, and I didn't pick between the Raiders and Chargers game, but I did pick the Chargers on my sheet. But I just, mentioned them having 2 new coaches and didn't really pick a winner. But I thought the Chargers would pull it out, and they did. Joe Alt looks really good. Um, them not taking a weapon maybe, was a good thing for them, you know. But let's get back into week 2 pick'ems. So we start off tonight. Tonight's actually Thursday. Today's Thursday. Tonight's game, Miami and Buffalo. Uh, this game is going to be a good one in Miami. Um, Josh Allen has never lost on Thursday night. Uh, Tyreek Hill has never cracked 100 against Buffalo. Uh, Miami has been struggling a ton against Buffalo. So this one's hard, but I think I'm gonna go with Miami to win. You know, right now, as of right now, it's still questionable on if Devon A. Chain will play. Raheem Mostert's out. Jeff Wilson Jr. He's there. Jalen Wright um, is activated. Um, I just think Tua has the weapons. Bill's secondary is down right now. They've got hit a ton. Their linebackers have got hit a ton. But I expect it to be a good game. I expect the offenses to dominate. I think Don Kincaid has a big bounce back game. Him not doing much against Cardinals. I think James Cook has a really good game. Uh, I think Shakur, like the guy who's the veteran of that receiver room, I think he can, you know, do what he does, and that's usually get in the end zone. So, um, but I'm gonna take Miami. They've been struggling against this Buffalo team, but I'm gonna go Miami. Um, and then we go Sunday. We play early morning games. We got Las Vegas at Baltimore. Um, Baltimore took a really heartbreaking loss to Kansas City on last Thursday night. Um, I think Baltimore wins based off of um, them just having a better team than Las Vegas. Las Vegas is really good defensively ish. Max Crosby, uh, but you, until proven where Raiders the Raiders can get the ball to Devontae Adams consistently, and him not cry every week. And it's and I hate to say cry, but he's a top 10 receiver and he's not touching the ball consistently. He should have 10 targets a game, 10 like 8 receptions a game, but he's not even getting that. And that comes down to them having a new offensive coordinator, but I think Devontae Adams needs to get the ball some way, somehow. And until proven that he can get the ball consistently, I'm going to bet against them. And I'm going to take the Ravens. Um, then we have New Orleans and Dallas. This is what I talked about kind of last week. How no one wants to watch NFC football, NFC South football. Well, New Orleans blew out the Panthers. That was a game I didn't want to talk about, and essentially so it's because Carolina is awful. But New Orleans is a really good team. Uh, but I think Dallas is too much, so I'm going Cowboys. Um, Dak, we talked about last episode. CD getting paid, and then Dak gets paid right before the game. It's in Dallas, their home opener. So I'm gonna go with the Cowboys for sure. Tampa Bay at Detroit. Ooh, it's crazy how Detroit is coming out the gates with the two teams they played in the playoffs. Detroit looked really good in the beginning to middle of Sunday night's game. They really struggled towards the end, except for them scoring in overtime. The Rams kind of, looked really good. They lost a lot that game though. Like Puka Nakua got hurt. Two of their offensive linemen got hurt. Really, I think Lions should have ran away with the game, but the Rams defense really stepped up. This game's going to be really good because a lot of what Buccaneers had on defense last year, they don't really have right now at the moment because of Carlton Davis went to Detroit and then Antoine Winfield is hurt, so he's not playing. Uh, Bucks offense looked really good last weekend against the Commanders. Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Baker Mayfield really balled out. But I think this game is going to be really good. Um, uh, this one's tough, but I think I'm gonna pick. mm, I think I'm gonna pick the Lions to win only because of uh, the secondary that's lacking in Tampa Bay. If they have it, I maybe go Tampa Bay, but I think I'm gonna go with roll with the Lions on this one. And then back to Indianapolis at Green Bay. Indianapolis really fought against Houston. You know, that's another AFC South opponent. Anthony Richardson looked really good, phenomenal. Jordan Love is out. Well, they haven't ruled it out. They say there's a possibility he plays, but I think Malik uh, Willis will get a start. Uh, I think I'm gonna go Indianapolis, the Colts on this game, um, only because I don't know the severity of you know. We know it's the MCL for Jordan Love, but I don't know if he's gonna play. Um, Probably a game time decision, but I don't think he plays. So I'm gonna go Indianapolis. It's in Green Bay, but I think they go get him. And then we got Cleveland at Jacksonville. Oh, I Cleveland looked terrible, 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 terrible on both ends, really, because you know, it sucks when you have two of your tackles out to start the season. You know, usually that's when you come in healthy, but they got hurt in the back end of the season, so they don't can't really be there in the beginning of the season. Uh, Deshaun Watson has a lot going on in his life. I'm not giving him the benefit of the doubt at all. Uh, he's he has some personal stuff going on, and I think that's getting to him. Jaguars didn't really pull it off against Miami. They were up, I believe, 14-0, 17-0, something like that. Ended up losing. Um, I think Jacksonville wins this game. Um, Not by a lot, but I think they beat the Browns at home. San Francisco at Minnesota. I saw a thing where it said like San Francisco hasn't beat Minnesota in 32 years. Um, I think that changes Sunday because, the 49ers are without their best player, Christian McCaffrey. But Jordan Mason had a ball of a game against that really good Jets defense. The Jets defense has a lot of great linebackers, that I thought had a chance, and D line as well had a good chance of stopping that run game. But Jordan Mason, he came hungry and you know, he really balled out. Vikings blew out a really bad Giants team. Um, so I don't think that win they got was really impressive. Um, Last year, the Niners didn't see Justin Jefferson, but now they will see him. But Jordan Addison's gone. He had a really good game last year against the 49ers, but now they swapped. So now like Jefferson's in, Addison's out. Uh, but I don't think that matters because the 49ers defense is really, really good. And I think the 49ers go win in Minnesota. And then I talked to you. I said last week how they had a lot to prove and they had to go get that statement win, and they really did do that. They really beat the Jets. Jets couldn't do anything offensively. They forced turnovers. They did what they were supposed to do, and they really got that statement win that I thought they really needed to start the season off. Um, and we have Seattle at New England. Um, yeah, like I said, New England got a really good win against a really good AFC team. Um, Seattle beat Denver. I don't know if Kenneth Walker's playing. I saw something about the oblique injury, but Seattle, I think, wins this game. Gino looks relatively decent. I didn't see much about DK Metcalf. Uh, I don't know much about this matchup, so I'm gonna just go Seattle. Um, and then we got the Jets at Tennessee. So yeah, talking about the Jets losing to the Niners, they're probably one of the better 0-0, 0-1 teams. I mean, not 0-0, 0-1 teams. Losing to the 49ers, that's inevitable. That's something that tends to happen to a lot of teams, except for that one. Uh, sorry. um, but it's inevitable. So I think the Jets looked like they have a lot of potential. Aaron Rodgers looked good. I think he only really got hit a couple times, so he didn't get sacked much. He didn't get hit much. He got the ball out in time. Um, Tennessee was up big against Chicago. Will Levis, costly pick six that was just ridiculous. He tries to throw the ball away. It just goes bad. So they lose that game. But I think New York, uh, they gotta get a bounce back win, and I think they win big in Tennessee. So I'm going Jets. And then Giants at Washington. Uh, this is the game, like one of those games I was talking about last week, just those pick 'em games. Um, Daniel Jones looks awful, like terrible, and he's making $40 million a year. Uh, I don't even know. Malik Neighbors is a really good receiver, but he was even like he doesn't know what the quarterback's doing back there. Oh, this is a hard game to pick. Washington looked good. Jaden Daniels was pretty good. He got in the end zone on a run. Um, they just couldn't do much against a really good Tampa Bay team. I think I'm gonna go with the Commanders on this game because, like I said last week, I think it's this offense is going to be really fun. The defense, I think, is going to be good because of Dan Quinn. But the offense is going to be fun. Cliff Kingsbury, I think he's going to be a good offense play caller for Jaden Daniels and Brian Robinson Jr. and Austin Eckler and Terry McLaurin, like all those guys. So I'm gonna go with the Commanders on this one. Then we got Pittsburgh at Denver. Wait, no, take that back. The Rams at Arizona. Um, the Rams looked good. Like I said, the defense got stops when they needed to. Except for in the overtime period where such you don't get the ball, even though you give up a touchdown. They looked good though. They got stops. They let Matthew Stafford compete. Um, and in Arizona, should have beat Buffalo. They were up big. Like I predicted that. I kind of predicted that. I said it was gonna look weird in the beginning, uh, where Arizona really dominated that game, and then here comes Josh Allen. Josh Allen got his mobility. He started running up and down. Yeah, that was like a weird game. Like I thought it would be. I think Cardinals, like I said, they're a bottom team still, but I don't think they're the bottom. I think the last matchup I talked about the Panthers. I mean, no, yes, Panthers for sure. But I was talking about the uh Raven frick. Giants and Commanders. I think those are the bottom teams along with the Panthers. I think the Cardinals could be there, but it just really depends. But this matchup, I think the Rams win even without Puka Nakua and whoever else could be out. I think it's going to be a Cooper Cup filled day where he's going to probably get about 20 targets easily and probably get about 8 to 10 receptions. They just got to force feed him. Kyra Williams is going to have to get involved eventually, maybe in the pass game. We know he's going to get the ball for the running back. So that's going to be a good game. It's in Arizona, but I think the Rams take it. And then now to Denver and Pittsburgh at Denver. You know, Pittsburgh on the road for the second week in a row, starting off the season in Atlanta, now to Denver. Um, Pittsburgh defensively, like looked phenomenal. Like they looked like a top three defense. You know, TJ Watt, we all know what I talked about him last week, and I hope you guys all know what he could do in just wrecking games. Whether it's stopping the run, getting after a quarterback, forcing fumbles, uh, just strip sacking, like just getting after. He's just a straight dog. And then Mika Fitzpatrick looked good. Joey Porter's just straight shutting down Drake London. Um, and I think they just looked really good. Denver gave up, I think, the most pressures in week one against the Seattle's D line, which was crazy to think about. But knowing what TJ Watt could do, him wrecking games, it's only a matter of time what he could do against that Denver O line. So I'm gonna take the Steelers. I didn't talk about Bo Nix that much. I didn't really watch that game against Seattle, but like I said, I saw where their O line gave up the most pressures. Um, but the Steelers offense um, was Chris Boswell. I mean, Chris Boswell and really George Pickens. All their points were field goals. But I think Arthur Smith was kind of holding back Justin Fields of throwing the ball in the middle of the field against those really good two safeties that the Falcons had in Jesse Bates and Justin Simmons. Um, so it's something where we didn't get to see a lot of that. So I think they opened it up this time, especially. I think they opened up the middle of the field this week because of Patrick Surtain that they're going against for the Denver defense. It's going to be a good game. I think Pittsburgh wins. I think they finally go score a touchdown. Look for Pat Freiermuth to have a good game. Najee run the ball. Jalen Warren, he's still coming back off the hamstring, but I think Najee looks really good. He runs the ball hard. That's something that he does, and I think George Pickens could have a quiet game because he's going against a top corner, and I don't think Arthur Smith wants to test him. But I hope we get a lot of intel from Russell Wilson to see what to exploit. Um, so yeah, I'm gonna go with the Steelers on that game. Um, two uh last two matchups. Um, Cincinnati at Kansas City. Cincinnati at Kansas City. Yeah, I talked about Cincinnati, them not really looking good week one. But I feel like Joe Burrow always starts off slow. But this is going to be a big test week too. Kansas City has really gotten punched in the beginning of the season, getting two AFC North teams that are at the top. But Kansas City is Kansas City. I think they ultimately beat them because it's in Kansas City. Patrick Mahomes looked good. He looked himself. He didn't do too much. Xavier Worthy had two touchdowns. He's a speedster, and I don't know how Buffalo keeps giving away picks to Kansas City and just letting them draft really well. Travis Kelsey was quiet, uh, but essentially he kind of is the first couple weeks. But this is a game where he has a lot of chirp. He's done a lot of chirping to the Bengals, so I think he's gonna have a big game. I think Kansas City wins. I won't say a close one because that Bengals defense is not good. Uh, but the offense is shaky right now, so we'll have to see. But I'm gonna go with Kansas City. Then Sunday night, um, we got Chicago at Houston. Battle of two really good quarterbacks. You know, Caleb Williams, we got to see him last week against Tennessee. He kind of struggled, but he did get a week one victory. Um, I've seen a lot of stuff where Roma Dunze could be out. Keenan Allen hasn't really practiced, so it's probably going to be the DJ Moore show against, you know, maybe Derek Stingley, whoever else the Texans may have to guard him. Um, but yeah, Chicago. Uh, it's gonna be hard. It's gonna see if they can run the ball. Really, I think they got to get DeAndre Swift involved, especially if Keenan Allen and Roma Dunze's out. That's two of their top three weapons right there. Cole Kmet really has to get going, I think. And then Houston, they got a good win against the AFC South opponent. Stephon Diggs having two touchdowns after people were kind of calling off on him. But I think Stephon Diggs is still dominant, especially now with CJ Stroud. But we've seen what he did with Josh Allen in the past. But I think that's going to be a good game. Um, but I think Texans pull it out because of they've just been together. That defense is good, really good, and then the offense, adding, Stephon Diggs, and then excuse me, and then him really winning, having two touchdowns, them winning, and then Tank Dell still there, and then the guy who is still, I think, wide receiver one for them is Nico Collins. They needed a big first down late last game, and they went to Nico. He might didn't score. Stephon scored, but Nico is still that guy who, if they need, like, if CJ Stroud needs to escape, he's going to hit him. And I didn't even talk about Joe Mixon yet. Joe Mixon had like 140, 60, I can't remember, rushing yards, and I didn't even speak on him. So I just think essentially that the Texans win. Yeah, and then a matchup I kind of accidentally skipped because it's a weird matchup. It's Chargers at Carolina. I think Chargers win. I'm gonna just say that right now. Um, I just the Panthers don't have anything exciting where I think, oh, they could put maybe win. Well, I just don't think I could think of anything that could even get them close to winning that game. So now I'm going to go to Monday Night Football, Atlanta at Philadelphia. Atlanta struggled, but they played a top three defense, like I said, a Pittsburgh defense that's been together, except for uh, Patrick Queen, but they've been together a really long time. So Kirk, I don't think he's a pistol quarterback, and especially because he's coming off a Achilles tear, um, where he's kind of looking rough right now. He didn't play in the preseason, but I think essentially they're going to look good. Um, Give it some time, and I think Kirk Cousins will get the ball to Kyle Pitts and get the ball to Drake London. But I just think it was hard to do that week one. Uh, and then Philly, like I talked about, Saquon having a really good game. And then I think I'm going to go with the Eagles on this one. They tend to always get a Monday night a second game on Monday night, and it's always at home. And I think they always dominate that game. Uh, Jalen Hurts, I think, will look a lot more comfortable. But like I said, I mentioned those two safeties Atlanta have, and I don't think it really matters because of AJ Brown and Devontae Smith. Those two guys alone can challenge anybody's safeties, and I think those two against those two are going to be a top matchup. Even Dallas Goddard may get a little action between the safeties. Um, yeah, those are going to be two teams that we might get a playoff preview. Um, I know I talked about Atlanta really struggling, but I think they will ultimately get it together, even if it's Michael Penix Jr. But I think Kirk Cousins will be fine to lead this offense. They're paying him a ton of money to do so. So I think he'll be good. But I'm gonna go Eagles. So yeah, those picks are locks. The scared one, I'm kind of scared about Miami because they have been struggling against Buffalo, like I mentioned. But other than that, um, I'm still picking TJ Watt to win Defensive Player of the Year. That's a big, big thing. I think can happen and will happen. Um, I'm not going to get into it, but it's going to be a big game for him this week again. Um, and then, yeah, I want to put a spotlight on somebody or a team. I want to shout out the school I go to, Friends University. We're 2-0. Play Avila University this weekend in Kansas City. We're ranked 21, I believe, in NAIA polls. This is the year for us to get into the playoffs and make some noise for this university. Uh, and yeah, uh, talking football is easy for me, and then being there every day, watching them practice and compete is even easier because I know those guys are special offensively and defensively. So shout out to Friends University. I want to put a spotlight on them. And I hope, go out, start the season 3-0 again, going into a big battle next week against Kansas Wesleyan, a team we can't quite knock out, but I think this is the year to do so. And yeah, uh, thank you guys for watching another edition of Life and Sports Spotlight with Cameron Knox, and I want to see you guys next week.